Big news in the tech world, especially for a particular community here. Jony Ive, the legend at Apple, Sir Jony Ive, actually. That's how important he is. You put a sir. You'd like to have that. Sir Willie Do?
Yeah, being knighted.
Imagine that. You come into places, you head into the Starbucks for your iced tea. Sir Willie Do. They write it right on the cup. You know, you put the order in and it says, Sir Willie Do.
Yeah.
You know? So now that I've said it, I feel like people in the comments, they may very well embrace it. And if they knight you, then I respect that.
I would never do it, by the way, just to put it out there.
I don't care. Hey, if they decide, if they knight you right now in the comments of this video, from henceforth, you shall be known as Sir Willie. You see how I threw the henceforth? See how it goes? That's because it's British now. There's knights, queens, kings, castles.
Game of Thrones?
Horses, dragons. Anyway, Jony Ive, big news in the tech community. He's leaving Apple. He's the guy. He designed it all. He was the right-hand man of Steve Jobs back in the day. Who knows? Did him and Tim get along? We're not really sure, but he's moving on. He was the chief designer. He put it all together. Original iPod. He's been memed up over the years because he shows up in those design videos with the white backdrop, you know?
Yeah.
A beautiful carved aluminium body. Carved from a single block of aluminium. Unibody construction. You know?
Yeah.
That was him. He's the guy that did it all, started all that chat. And in a weird way, maybe this is just because I'm on the video making side here on YouTube, but they created that platform for, hey, we launched a product. We're going to talk about it, tell you about it. You're going to meet our designers. We're going to show you the beveled edge of the materials. We're going to go inside. I mean, in various cases during keynotes, they've showed the construction of some of these devices, how it's carved out with water jets and so on. They just changed the game on not just product design, but product videos.
It really is hypnotic.
It's very much so.
The way that he speaks and the way that it's cut in the video.
His expressions, look, the way he talks about the thing. And what I decided was I needed more aluminium. That's all it was. Aluminium.
Add one more block.
We need another unibody.
Yeah.
If Steve was here, Tim, what do you know? Anyway, look, I think the guy contributed a lot. I don't know to what extent. There's some dispute on that. I saw Vice put out an article today. They're like, good riddance, Jony Ive. You totally ruined the tech community by making things non-repairable anymore and embedded and can't put a new battery in, hard to repair and impossible to upgrade. That's your legacy, bud. Coming from Vice. I don't know, man. The guy's leaving. He obviously was a contributor to devices and technologies that have sort of reshaped our perspectives, our lifestyles. I mean, I can speak to it. Some of my earliest equipment got me started in content creation, came from Apple, came from his brain in some way or another. So I'm not going to go after him like that. Nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. There's always some sort of a drawback to this stuff. But I think the guy had an imagination. And I think overall, there's definitely been a contribution. I think most people would agree to that. Now, the next question that comes in is like, why are you leaving? You're obviously getting paid a boatload of money. I know it's not disclosed, but he was getting a boatload, Will. They don't disclose it. They just say a boatload.
How much do you think?
Official article. I'm pretty sure it's a boatload.
Okay. Works for me.
Will, you get to a certain number and it's no longer a number. It's a boatload. It's like an emoji and it's just a boat that's loaded.
Well, put it in context for like
you see that?
Poor person like me.
Put it in context. Okay, so They say his net worth is 130 million. I bet you it's way more than that because they stopped disclosing and he doesn't have to let the world know what his net worth is. They were giving him stock valued at somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 million a year starting in 2011. So, I mean, the dude it's LeBron James type territory. He's the LeBron James of design. From that sense, you can see he's very happy about it. But I mean, he's OG. He was there day one. So day one, people get rewarded, and you hang around. You put the effort in, and like I said, a lot of people have Jony in their pocket, and they don't even know it. Now, as far as I'm gonna just go ahead and speculate why he's leaving. That's a heck of a hairdo on that man. I'm going to speculate why he's leaving. Of course, he's going to go out and start his own design firm. He probably has other things he wants to work on. Been at Apple for a very, very long time. He's starting a new company called Love From. He's going to remain in California. Apple will remain one of his clients. So he could still, of course, go ahead and create products for them, designs for them as a contractor. Some people were making jokes that now Apple can save on their payroll because he's working as a contract. That's insignificant. That's not. I doubt that's what it is at all. I think he probably wants to work on some personal projects. I believe that. I know he has in the past. I remember around the time of Product Red, he was doing some auctions of some specific product. I think he did something with Leica, the camera company, as well. He's also been fascinated by cars. For a while, he's often spotted at car shows and is a fan of certain car companies, including English brands of car companies, from what I've read. He may design all kinds of different products now that he has the freedom to do so with his personalized brand, Love From. But of course, there's also some other, you can read into it a little. You never really knew or know the relationship between him and Tim, and if it was ever kind of like it was with him and Steve. We talked about this prior to shooting today, how there were so many opportunities for disruption once upon a time. The original iPhone, original iPod being good examples of completely transformative devices that disrupted entire industries. They worked on that stuff together. And it just seems like in the past little while, it's probably not Tim's fault. It's probably just the nature of tech and innovation and so forth, that you just don't have that many moments like that piling up, and there haven't been as many of them. So it might not be as exciting around there as it once was. Also, one of the projects he was working on, apparently he had given up some of his responsibilities on actual Apple product design, and he had been focusing as well on designing their new campus, Apple Park, which is like a massive undertaking if you look at this thing. Oh. It's honestly, I don't know how I feel about Apple Park. You look at it, and is it welcoming or is it intimidating? It looks impenetrable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, it doesn't look open to anyone coming in. Do you know what I'm saying? I wonder I like the fact that it's infinity. They used to have the street in there. It's infinity loop. It's symbolic. It's round. Those are all cool things, but it also looks impenetrable. It also kind of looks like a villain's lair in a Marvel movie. Like, it kind of has that vibe to it too, but it's cool enough. They have all that green space in the center of it. I saw somebody's video on Twitter of like visiting the inside of it, and it's like a train coming through. It's very futuristic. There's a huge waterfall in the center. Anyhow, he designed this, and the execution of this thing was like years. It took years to actually be there, and it was finished recently. So maybe he had wanted to go work on other things for a long time, but actually had to finish the construction of this. That could be another reason. Anyhow, what were his significant designs? CNET actually put out an article saying, now that he's leaving, these are his 15 most iconic products and designs. I don't know if I agree with them, but these are all definitely significant. Coming in at number 15, they have the Imac G3. That was the colorful one that looked like a blueberry. I didn't have that. There was a iBook G3 to go with it that had a similar kind of color scheme to the G3 desktop version. The clamshell iBook G4. And G4 Cube computer, I kind of like that one. That was the one you could see on like a creative executive's desk. They had the Power Mac G4 Cube. How about the names as well? Power Mac G4 Cube. What do you have? I got the Cube. Whoa. Yeah, it was. These things didn't look like computers. They were, whether you liked them or not, you have to acknowledge the fact that they were a different take from what everyone else was doing. They were ambitious, whether you liked them or not. Like, I did not like the iBook G3, if you scroll up, the one that I just mentioned. I hated that thing. Remember I talked about having a repair shop in the city at that one point? I would see these every so often, and I thought the thing was so goofy. It looked like a child's toy. But you couldn't say it wasn't ambitious. It didn't have the same beige or gray that you were seeing on everything else. It was like, man, it was definitely a different take, and you got to respect people going after it like that. G4 Cube speakers came out in 2000. The Apple iSub, that translucent in conjunction with Harman Kardon, that was cool for computer speakers in 2000. If you had that, you were balling out of control. The iBook G4, I saw a ton of these come through the shop. I would say that's probably like the first product that really signaled towards the eventual place that the MacBook was going to go, as far as just simple lines and low profile keyboard. Those things carried on beyond the iBook G4. PowerBook G4 is actually what I had. I had a 12-inch PowerBook G4 was the thing I was the most excited for in a while when I got it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got this thing. When I got that, I remember they were packing peanuts in the box.
Oh.
And I pulled that out, and they had the commercial actually. The commercial at the time was an airplane, and on the airplane was Yao Ming, the basketball player. And maybe you can find it. It's a long time ago. And it had the guy from the small guy from Austin Powers. What's his name? Vern Troyer. Vern Troyer. And they're sitting in business class. And one guy's got the 17-inch PowerBook, and one guy's got the 12-inch PowerBook. And so it showcased the range in scale, what you could get. And I can't remember if Yao Ming has the small one, I think, and maybe Vern has the big one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So that was a 12-inch PowerBook. I love the design of that device. To this day, I think is one of the best looking laptops to this day. And then Vern's got the 17-inch, which is bigger than he is. It's unbelievable. Anyhow, I had both of these at one point in my life, but I had the 12-inch first, and I was super excited for it. It was a bit slow, to be honest, but I just really liked the design of it. It was like 4.5 pounds, which was cool for the time, but different era. It's a long time ago. Another device, iPod, 2001, game changer, obviously. Like, we don't even really need to mention it. I resisted owning an iPod, actually, because I hated the idea of like iTunes and DRM and all this stuff. So I had the very first MP3 player I had, it was called a Rio Diamond, or Diamond Rio, and it was 32 megabytes of storage or 64, one or the other. You're gonna, yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there. You can see it on Amazon. Look at that thing. I have that in a drawer somewhere. I could fit a dozen tracks on there, a dozen songs. And funny enough, I was ripping them and compressing them myself. I mean, I was into it, guys. I was really into it at a moment. And then from there, I had a Nomad jukebox, which is a similar concept. But eventually, you couldn't resist because of the UI, because these things were so hard to navigate. It was a lot of buttons and the menu structure. That one looked like a Discman. That's the one that I had. The blue version. You got to go to the first image there. Like, they didn't even know what to do. They're like, I don't know, is it a Discman? I don't know, let's make it a Discman. I think some of these had like 4 gigs of storage at one point. So that was like mind-boggling. What do you mean 4? What do you mean? Many records? Get out of town. Get on my face. And I can rewrite over and over again. Unbelievable. Beautiful. MP3s. Loved it. But you couldn't resist at a certain point. The UI on the iPad with the scroll wheel, yeah. It was a new take. It was a new mind. It's like, oh, man. And for me, this device was the first indication towards the iPhone. And I'll tell you why. Not because it was in your pocket, but because it started to think about UI in a different way. Like it started to think about touch being a more significant component in how you interface and interact with both pocketable, but all devices, all gadgets, all tech. And even though all this really did was allow you to scroll, and it was still offset from the screen itself, you weren't touching the screen itself, it gave you that first insight into like, okay, this could work. We could do this. So the iPod, I mean, a critical device in the landscape of device history, smartphone history, tech history, I would say. The Imac G4 in 2001 changed it even more. You had this base station with the arm and the display that came up off it. It could pivot. It could swivel. It was so weird at the time. A lot of these devices, for the record, did not sell big numbers. It's important to note. As ambitious as they were, they must have been exciting to design because they were so different. But you didn't see a lot of these things in the wild. Not by any means. But I mean, that thing, it just looks friendly, doesn't it, Will?
It does, yeah.
It looks like a little assistant, a little robotic assistant. Like you could imagine it moving its head around on its own.
Yeah. You go to the library or something, you try to look up a book.
That's
that would
right.
be there. Yeah, it's pretty friendly.
It feels like it could have a personality in a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
The Pixar lamp, exactly. It's that's a perfect comparison there. I don't know why I had the same Pixar feeling when I looked at it. It has personality. That's a hard thing to do when it comes to industrial design. You take a device, you take the raw materials here, metal, plastic. It can go so many different ways. If you look at a PC from the same era, like type PC 2001, Windows PC 2001. You know, and then you're gonna get a glimpse into how things were feeling. I mean, it looks chubby. It looks so. No, hey man, that to me, I know this. You're gonna think this is really weird. There's something like a warm blanket about that image right there, because I saw this image we're looking at. It has 2 disk drives in it because obviously the person was burning disks, and I look at the top one, how the yellowness of it. Yeah. How it's discolored more so than the newer drive down on the bottom. And they probably carried it from a previous unit.
Yeah, they upgraded.
They upgraded. Or they brought one of their disk drives from their old tower. And it's like, for me, I have warm memories of doing projects like that. And so this is the other end of the spectrum. If you were a tinkerer on the consumer side, Apple wasn't having it. They weren't happy with you. Like you take one look at that Imac G4, and it's like they're trying to have you forget the fact that you're looking at plastic and glass, and they're trying, through giving the thing personality, or as a consequence of giving it personality, you sacrifice certain aspects of usability and certain aspects of input from the customer. Whereas the one you just showed me, the tower, is like, I don't know, do whatever you want with me. Yeah, of course, man. It's real life. It's like, it doesn't have, its personality is what you bring to it, what you brought to it. Like how I was looking at the yellow disk drive and seeing the both of them and looking at the mangled cables, and you bring your own monitor, whatever one you get, and everybody's keyboards were different. So that was kind of cool. That's cool in its own way, but anyway. From there, he goes on, Imac G5, the first LCD all-in-one flat unit. I had one of these, the iPod Mini, when they put colors in it, and one of the most popular iPods with the aluminum body. I replaced a tremendous number of batteries in these because they just worked for people. They didn't want to change them. They just needed a new battery. And of course, the iPhone in 2007, I've said it before, I think is probably the most influential tech product possibly all time. It's definitely in the running. iPad 2010. He started to work on software after that. So iOS 7, he revamped the software, tried to make it match the hardware a little bit more, get away from the skeuomorphic design that existed before that. Some people hated it, man, at the time. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. There was a lot of backlash around iOS 7. They're like, there's neon and stuff. Yeah. And it was supposed to be flattened out.
Needs more notebook.
Yeah, a lot of people they resisted it, but anyway, apparently he worked on that. Apple Watch, and then eventually Apple Park, and now he's gone. So not a lot remaining from the Steve Jobs era. Of course, Cook was there. You have Phil Schiller. You have a few executives left, But it is definitely a new Apple now. I think it's reflected in their products. I think their products actually have a little bit less personality than they used to. I think they're a little less approachable than they used to be. By this, I don't mean that they're like worse products. I just mean they're different. Apple themselves became a lot more popular. They became market leaders in multiple categories, and I just feel like their products reflect that now. Whereas before, they almost embraced the fact that they were the anti-leader. They were the anti-PC. They were the anti-Windows or the anti-gadget. They were the friendlier one. Now, it's a lot of companies trying to be like them. I mean, we can't deny that fact. And so it just changes the situation, changes what you're trying to do. And Jony Ive is going to move on. He's going to do other things. So I wish him luck. And the funny thing about this is that Apple's stock is down. Wall Street isn't happy with the news. It's starting to jump back up a little bit more today, but it lost like a percentage point yesterday, which is billions of dollars when you're a company the size of Apple. I'm sure it'll rebound. He's still going to do work for them here and there, and but it's just funny. It's funny how no matter how big these companies get, Will, they're still companies made of people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, it's the people power, the people force that pushes them. That's the fuel for the engine that allows the thing to be mobile, that allows the thing to continue to progress. And it's possible if you lose enough key people that are the inspiration or direction of a particular company, it can impact the company. You know, like if we lost you, Willie, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, this thing, it's off. Like, take it off the air at that point, as far as I'm concerned. So, but it is. I will say, I feel like in this case, Wall Street does what it does. It overreacts a little bit. I think Jony, in particular, has kind of been distancing himself over time. I don't think this is a drastic kind of like chop. But yeah, companies are people. No matter how big they are, no matter how you perceive them, no matter how big the logo is in your brain, it's people that work there. Guys like him that make this stuff possible. It's pretty amazing. That was like probably the most lovey-dovey piece I maybe ever did on Apple right there. Like that was very lovey. That was very lovey-dovey. Funny enough, I don't use a single Apple product right now. Not a single Apple product in my, maybe AirPods. I mean, I haven't used them in a very long time though. I haven't even used headphones in a while. I've been, and when I do, I'm using those Sony ones. So that's kind of funny. I got all these nice things to say, but at this moment right now, not a single one of their products is the most compelling for me in a particular category. So I should just put that out there just to curb the enthusiasm a little bit.
Knock it down a couple.
I just had to, just curve it a little bit. I just got to be realistic. Like it's the truth of the matter. It's the truth of the matter.